everyone. Today I bring the Meditate with Art kit. I'm using the A5 size in the cork variant. The outer cover is made out of recycled cork and it comes with an elastic closure. I have the Around the World theme this time and I have about 10 to 15 minutes time today to make a quick painting. Let's see how much I get done in this one session. The kit comes with a pack of 5 incense sticks. It's super fragrant. I have the guided audio meditation playing in the background as I started working on this particular page. I'm using the chrome yellow from the original color sheets that comes with the kit to paint this caravan. Since these are watercolors and I can layer on top of them, I'm not too worried about being 100% precise in the place I apply the paint and just making sure to not make too many mistakes, but the rest of the time I'm not super careful about how I'm going to paint the page. Plus, it's also just a coloring book page. It's not going to be a finished artwork. I might hang it up on the wall later on, but aside from that, I'm not gonna be giving this out to people, or I'm not gonna sell this anywhere, so it's gonna be just for my own personal use. And I'm not too fussy about going over the line a couple of times. Here's a close-up view of how the paint looks on the paper. I am also giving you a close-up of how much paint I'm picking up from the color sheets, just so you can see that you don't really need too much paint to cover a large amount of space on the page. I'm also dabbing the water brush on a side kitchen towel that I have placed on the side. For the bottom half of the caravan, as you can see, I have used the yellow ochre color. It's slightly darker than the chrome yellow that I had used originally. It is just to add a bit more contrast and depth to the caravan. I could have gone with the chrome yellow across the whole vehicle, but it just felt like might be a bit too much, so I wanted a little bit more of a darker color at the bottom. At this point, I'm just realizing that I had missed a few spots when I was painting the upper half of the caravan. So I'm painting the spots with the flower bed with the chrome yellow again, just a couple of places that I had missed previously. I'm also dabbing that area with a plain water brush to make sure that the pigments are not too bright and distinct from the rest of the upper half of the caravan. Then I'm going in with a light green color. I'm diluting this on the mixing pad that was provided in the color sheets itself and painting the leaves on the flower bed. As you can see, I do have a little bit of white space and I do have a little bit of color going over the lines, but I felt like it added to the painterly aesthetic that I was going for. Now I'm working on the background, the forest, and for the grass, I am using for the grass, I'm painting a diluted version of the light green. When I pick up paints directly from the color sheets, it's a bit too heavily pigmented. So I like to use the palette to add a bit more of water to the paint and dilute it. I generally find that this is the best way to go about it. Otherwise, I have to create a separate palette and work over there. But this is good enough for today's today's painting. I was a bit too lazy to clean my palette, so I had to remix the green a couple of times. If I was probably not as lazy and had a bigger kitchen towel next to me, I would have used that to wipe the palette clean and used that to create a bigger puddle of the light green, and that should have been sufficient for the rest of the forest. The flowers in this picture reminded me of the wildflowers that have grown in my own backyard, the small zone. In the small patch of land are beautiful big flowers of violets and purple have blossomed because it rained for a couple of days here, and they've magically blossomed from being weeds into these beautiful wildflower bushes. And I sort of was reminded of those flowers as I was painting this scene. So a lot of the flowers in this particular scene are inspired by that, and I've gone for more magenta and violet for the flowers here. If you ever feel like you've used a bit too much of the pigment and you want to lighten up an area, as long as the page is still wet, you can wipe off the brush. Make sure that you have a clean brush and a clean damp brush and then go back into the paint and pick up the pigment that you've put down on the page. You can also dab that area as long as it's wet. Dab it with a paper towel and you should be able to lift off the pigment quite easily. I wanted the interiors of the caravan to be a little bit more cool toned, mainly because it would stand out against the warm colors of the outside of the caravan. So I went for more purple and darker reds for the interior, and I also made sure to dilute the colors quite a bit. The mixture for the walls of the interiors are violet with a little bit of the slate gray that was already on my palette. I just made sure to dilute this particular combination quite a bit to create a very soft lilac-y color for the interior walls. Now I'm going back into the slate gray to create a separate puddle for the sofa or the chair or the seating that's there on the interior. I thought the red, a dash of red against this gray contrasted quite nicely, and it complemented each other pretty well, as did not distract from the scene too much. So I try to go for that combination. Then for the curtains, I've gone for teal color. This is like a combination of viridian with a little bit of blue that was existing on the palette, and I think that was the blue that I had previously mixed up for a different painting. Was again a combination of Prussian as well as peacock blue. So it's a mix of all of the blues and a little bit of viridian. For the decor pieces, I've gone for either chrome yellow or burnt sienna. The frames of the art pieces on the wall especially are burnt sienna. I'm not yet sure exactly what I want to paint the cat as well as the interior, the paintings on the wall. So if you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. I would love to have an orange tabby, and this particular cat looks like an orange tabby, but there's so much yellow going on. So should I think of a different shade for the cat? Yeah, and similar to how I worked on the background for the grass, I am also diluting the blue shade quite a bit to paint the sky. Thankfully, the water brush has a very fine point because there are quite a bit of small nooks and crannies between the trees where the sky is peeking out. In fact, I actually kind of zoned out for a bit at this point and accidentally ended up painting a part of the tree as as if it was the sky. So yeah, that was a complete miss, but I was quite relaxed at this point and was just in the flow. Thankfully, these watercolors are transparent and layer quite well. So I went back into the tree with a mix of sap green and light green, diluted once again with quite a bit of water, and made a softer, more mossy kind of green, more foresty green, and used this to paint over the blue on the tree that I had accidentally messed up. While I did like the way that this has turned out, in as I was editing it, it does kind of look like a broccoli. So that now that I can, now that I thought about it, I just can't unsee it. It kind of looks like broccoli to me. All of the trees have ended up looking more like broccoli than trees. I'm using the same mixture of sap green and light green to paint the rest of the foliage of the trees as well. And into the same green mixture, I'm adding a touch of burnt sienna. And into this mixture, I'm adding a touch of the viridian to just to differentiate between the two sets of trees on either side. I found myself jumping around the picture quite a bit as my brain was getting tired of a particular part of the painting. I jumped to doing other things. So I was struggling with the trees a little bit and unsure of what color I wanted for the trunks. So I went into the wildflowers and started painting the leaves. I used more direct pigments this time instead of diluting it, and I am going with just the light green over these leaves, making sure to darken them and ensuring that they stand out against the rest of the grass. I added a little bit of burnt sienna to the very l- tiniest amount of green that was left on my palette to create a very murky kind of a brown that I thought would push the trees back into the background and not take um, not get too much attention. That was basically what I was looking for. I wanted the attention to be on the caravan and not on the background elements. So I made a very slight, subtle, very dull brown that I was hoping would not distract from the main feature of the scene. And with that being done, with that being painted, I think the scene is almost complete. I have not painted the creatures yet, the cat, the bird, and the bunny. However, I'm still debating about what color the cat should be. I'm not too sure. Depending on whether the cat is orange, I might have to think of a different color for the bunny. I'm kind of leaning towards leaving it white because do kind of like the white bunny rabbit. Maybe just add a little bit of very subtle hint of pink in his nose or like paws, but I might leave the bunny white. But I have no idea what to paint the bird. What do you think would be a good color for the bird? Let me know. Let me know in the comments below. I would love to try to take your suggestions and test it out. Alright, this has gone so much longer than I thought I might paint for, so I'm gonna have to call it a day at this point. It was very nice painting along with you guys. I hope you had fun watching as much as I had fun painting this for you. See you in the next one. Bye bye.